Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to possibly the most fun video I'm going to make in the next few months. And I think you might find it interesting just based on the title alone. So let's get on with it. Now, I'm actually starting here in Moscow, and this is a place called Vkusna и точка, or tasty, and that is all. Now, there is a few different translations to it, but that's what I'm going to go with. Now, this is, or was, McDonald's. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to travel 10,000 kilometers to go and have a Big Mac meal. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Vkusna и точка here in Moscow first and try it here in Russia, because there is around about 900 locations throughout Russia. Essentially, the simple story of it is McDonald's left Russia, all of the locations closed, and then they all reopened as Vkusna и точка. And for probably 99% of the population, it is not any different to what it was. Now, the reason I've chosen this one in this location right here, this is a brand new shopping center. Interestingly, there is another brand new shopping center across the road, but this place opened 2 weeks ago. And there is only a Vkusna и точка inside, which is right here. So there's actually an entrance from the mall and from the street. And there's a supermarket. And that's it. And this place literally opened 2 weeks ago. This is the newest Vkusna и точка in all of Russia. This is an area called Raskazovka in the southwest of Moscow. Lots of residential apartment buildings nearby, and lots of very normal apartments that you would see all over Moscow. But I wanted to come to the newest location to see how it is. Now, we're also right on the 3-year anniversary of McDonald's leaving Russia. Now, if you didn't know, McDonald's does have a buyback clause where they can return to Russia within 15 years. So they can literally take back the keys to the restaurants and all of the new restaurants and reopen. Now, I want you to have a look as I walk around and let me know in the comments how different you think this place is. Now, firstly, the bins look absolutely exactly the same. Now, this is a little bit of a busy location, so I'm just going to be as polite as I can be to walk in. Now, it's open from 7 a.m. till midnight. This one doesn't have a drive-through option. It just has the dine-in or take-away. So this is the kitchen area here, and where all the food is prepared. We can see the man on the fry station right there. Now, very typically, most people do the ordering right here at the self-checkouts. Now, you have to remember this place opened 2 weeks ago. So this is an absolutely brand new location. And this lady, I've already met. No worries. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a brief walk around of the restaurant, and then I'll place my order and we'll be able to see what the classic Big Mac meal tastes like, or big hit. They've got some toys right now for the kids if you get some of the different meals. And I think also they've got books, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And then menu board. So like I said, most people are using the self-checkouts over here to do their order. And is this any different from McDonald's? Now, again, this opened 2 weeks ago, so keep that in your head, that this is the newest location in Russia. 2 weeks it's been open. So how does it look so similar? Who knows? The tables, the chairs. Now, the one thing I'll say that is better, or is improved, is the cafe. So of course you can get yourself a cappuccino or an Americano if you like. But then have a look at the cakes that they've got right here. Classic cheesecake, they've got macaroons, they've even got toasted sandwiches, different types of teas. So this, I think, personally has improved over what was the McDonald's, or was it Mac Cafe? Now, because this place is a little bit busy, I was planning to use the regular self-checkout here, but it's a little bit difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually order my meal from the counter right here with the stuff, and then hopefully I can get table service. So it's just a matter of finding the meal that I want from the menu and ordering and sitting down. Just to make filming a little bit easier, I actually ordered my meal at the counter, and then I got table service. So I ordered from the lady at the front counter there, and then one of the young guys brought it over to me, probably 4 or 5 minutes at the most afterwards. And if you're interested in the price, it was 325 rubles. Now what I've ordered is what I consider as the classic Big Mac meal, which in Russia it's called the Big Hit meal. So the burger, fries, and cola. I will explain a little bit more in a minute. Now the exchange rate from rubles to dollars based on today's exchange rate is $4.13 if I was to compare rubles to dollars today as I'm filming this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not really going to judge it on the price, because if anybody has ever heard of what's called the Big Mac Index, there is a famous indices where you can compare the price of a Big Mac against all of the world's economies. So you can actually then put around about 50 to 100 countries in a list based on the price of a classic Big Mac. And countries obviously go in the top and the bottom of the list, but it's not really about the price. It's about coming to have a classic Russian McDonald's Big Mac meal. And of course, medium fries. So the logo is quite recognizable, I think, by now. And there's a lot of people who question what the logo is. However, it's meant to be a burger and 2 fries. That's the actual logo itself. Of course, when the very first Vkusna Tochka opened in Moscow Center, there was a lot of fanfare, there was a lot of world's media there, and the store opened, or the restaurant opened, and they didn't have all of the correct marketing material and the correct cups and things like that, so they opened with white packaging. And then people questioned, you know, there's no ink in Russia, they've run out of materials to make the logos and things like that, but it's completely not true. It was just such a quick turnaround from them closing to reopening under the new banner that they just didn't have the packaging ready. But it did make for some good viral content at the time. Now, I'm going to try and do this without editing and without cutting. So what I do when I get my fries, I'm not sure if anybody else does that, you open your burger, and then the other side of the box, you can tip them in. Now, the one thing I do want to point out here, now, it may not show up on camera too well, but is the fact that there is little or no oil inside of the fries box. So let's give them a try. Now I will let you know I am a little bit hungry, so will this bias my opinion? I'm not sure. However, they're perfectly fine fries. Now the real test will be to compare them with the second location. And is it better? Is it not better? Now I'm not going to have a lot of time between the two tastings, so I will actually have it on my mind how they taste. Now, if anybody's not aware, to make the fries for most fast food companies, they need a particular variety of potato. And it's a specific one that's more designed for deep fat frying or cooking to make them as French fries, just like this. So there's a lot of very specifics about them getting the particular chips or fries, but they're good. They're not oily. There's actually quite a lot for the medium meal. I don't get the sauce when I order my Big Mac meals. My wife loves to get the cheesy sauce, but I'm not so bothered about it, so I'm happy to eat them as they are. Lightly salted. They're actually, when they came out, they were warm or hot. Now that I've done a couple of retakes of the filming, they're warm, let's say. Now, the cola that I've got here is called Dobra Cola, and this is basically Coca-Cola. However, the one ingredient in Coca-Cola is what's not inside this. So this is manufactured in the exact same factory where Coca-Cola in Russia was produced. The partner or the company that was producing it is called Multon Partners. And pretty much, I think in anybody's supermarket review videos, they're going to show the Dobra Cola brand at some point. And I will say, when you're tasting it, what's called post-mix, which is coming from a syrup and the gas and the water, I think it's much, much closer to what we know as Coca-Cola. However, when Coca-Cola left Russia, the only ingredient they didn't leave behind was that one syrup that makes Coca-Cola what it is around the world. However, the Dobra Cola is incredibly close. If you have the Dobra Orange, I personally believe it is Fanta, and the same with the lemonade version, which is Sprite. I do think, depending on how you drink this, if it's either in a plastic bottle, a glass bottle, and if it's at room temperature or chilled, there is a slightly different taste to it. But when you're drinking it as part of a big hit meal, this really is exactly what you're expecting from Coca-Cola. Well, Dobra Cola, let me correct myself. Or people like to call it sometimes Kind Cola. So, yeah. In the end of the day, it's a $4 Big Mac meal. If I really want to be quite literal with the price, what can you get in the world nowadays for $4? I'm really not sure. Let's get on to the burger now. I've got the absolute classic Big Mac, and I've literally not done anything except open the box, and it looks, I think, exactly how a Big Mac should look. Okay, should I say Big Hit? That's what they actually named it. I'm fairly sure when they first opened, they didn't have this available on the very first days. And they were still working out the menu and what they were going to do, what they were going to call things. But this is a Big Mac. Now, controversially, I'm going to eat it how I eat all of my burgers. Now, in the comments, let me know if this is controversial. I'm trying to get the best angle for you. However, this is a Big Mac, and I'm not really going to question what everybody else in the world says, or people who are from Russia and who live here and turn around and say, this is not McDonald's, this is not a Big Mac, these are not Big Mac, these are not fries. These really are. And there you go. That is an absolute classic Big Mac. And of course, there's a whole menu of things that you can get here beyond the classic meal. But for the point of this video, I wanted to do this traditional medium meal. And now, again, I'm doing this unedited, so however long the video comes out to be, I'm sorry. You'll have to grin and bear it. But this is exactly what I expect when I go into a McDonald's and I want the medium, normal Big Mac meal. And I am repeating myself a little. I'm curious in the comments, is there more people questioning the way I'm eating my meal? Or are you questioning that this is not real and it's not authentic and it's not genuine? Now, I chose this restaurant for a particular reason. In all of the Vkusna and Tochka locations in Russia, there's more than 900 locations. There's actually more now than there was 3 years ago when the changeover happened from McDonald's to Vkusna and Tochka. And to come to this location is quite important because I didn't want to go to a location that's been open for 3 years. I could very easily go to the one in the center of Moscow, right there in Pushkin Square, which was the original and most famous one in the country. You know, I've come to the newest one in Russia, and perhaps some of the staff are maybe not as trained as some of the other locations. Maybe they brought skilled staff in specially for the opening of this. I've no doubt a lot of people live locally who work here. So, yeah. For 325 rubles, I think it's more than worthy of what you're getting for your money. So I'm going to finish this, and then we're going to head off to another location and have the real McDonald's in a real McDonald's restaurant. So let me enjoy this, and we're going to jump over there. After eating my meal and coming back outside, I thought we'd just have one last look at this building here. Now, this is actually the rear entrance and exit of this new shopping center. I don't know why they built this one new when they had the previous one new. This is where they've chosen to put their Vkusna and Tochka, in this standalone corner of the shopping center. And just one more time, have a look at the apartment buildings. These are all brand new as well. I would say these are probably no more than a year or two old. Now, what's going to be very interesting is the next part of the video and how I'm going to transition to go and taste a real Big Mac 10,000 kilometers from here. So this is the next step in the process to travel 10,000 kilometers to go and have a Big Mac. And have a look where I am right here. Emirates Airlines, and I've got my boarding pass already. But where am I going to? I'm going to be going to have a Big Mac. It's a long way to travel. Let's go. Always remember that you're traveling with Russell, and I'm very over-organized when it comes to taking trips. And have a look. There's only a few people here at check-in. Nice and easy. I've got my boarding pass, and I'm off for my Big Mac. So if you're wondering where I am, I'm actually at Domodedovo Airport, which is one of 4 airports here in Moscow. And of course, it would be too easy to go to this Vkusna and Tochka and taste test the burgers. We want to jump on a plane. I want to take you for a Big Mac 10,000 kilometers from here. So let's head on through the airport. So I'm not quite at my destination yet. I'm currently 3,500 kilometers from where we started the video. And we have another 6,500 kilometers to go. And I'm here with Mohammed, and he is taking me for a lap around the airport. And then I've got one more flight, and then we can get one step closer to having a Big Mac 10,000 kilometers away from where I live and where this video started. And after a 10,000 kilometer trip on 2 airplanes, have a look what's behind me, the famous Golden Arches. Now I've literally just arrived, literally. I've dropped off my bags at the hotel and I've come down here. That's why it's dark right now. And actually, my wife Zhenya is with me. If you've watched other videos, she occasionally shows up. But I've come for a Big Mac. If you're wondering where I am, I'm on the beautiful island of Bali, Indonesia. Now, it may not seem tranquil right now. It's late on a Sunday night. Now, I've only filmed this roughly about 4 days apart, barring the travel time. Now, I am in a place called Sanur, which is in the southern part of the island of Bali. And we're at a very busy intersection here. There's a main road that dissects from here towards Denpasar. And what's really interesting, this particular one is actually a 2-story one. So I'm gonna actually sit upstairs and eat. And I'm hungry for a Big Mac. This one's also a drive-through location as well. So some cars will come in. However, let me show you something that's probably definitely the opposite to Moscow, Russia, is how many motorbikes there are here. And this is the common transport on the island, far more than normal vehicles. But you can actually see the drive-through there. And also all of these guys right here are doing delivery. So there is a couple of different apps that you can use. There is Grab Food and there's Gojek. And this guy's doing a Gojek delivery. So they're waiting for the orders to come through. Then they jump on their bikes and go and deliver, mostly to hotels or nearby villas. Let me just quickly explain. So I didn't really talk about it at the beginning of the video because I wasn't sure how this was going to work out. So of course I live in Moscow and we've had this trip planned only for about a week and nobody knew about it even up until the point you're watching this video. And I wanted to do that comparison of the Russian McDonald's and then what is the real McDonald's here. So let's go and check it out. Zhenya is actually going to stay outside and Ronald McDonald is going to keep her company. I think this is an icon and a famous statue outside every McDonald's in the world. Let's head on in. Now, this is set up quite differently to a lot of McDonald's around the world, being that the dining is all upstairs and then a lot of the people that are coming to buy food here are doing takeaway and either coming in from their car or bike, or a lot of the stuff is either drive-through or for delivery to, mostly to hotels. So let's have a look what they've got now. I'm going to do the self-checkout in just a second, but they've got quite a few different things on their menus here, and one is the chicken. So they've got these different chicken legs, very similar to KFC. Of course, the Big Mac, double Big Mac. How many sizes can you get? And they've got a current promotion here where they've got Japanese inspired burgers and ice creams, of course. Have a look at those ice creams. And then over here you can get a drumstick and rice, or you can get, of course, classic cheeseburger. And then there is a pack there, so instead of getting chicken and fries, you get chicken and rice. I think I just need to keep looking at the menu here because it's showing you all of the different choices of things that you can get. Of course, the counter area here, very classic and very typical of McDonald's. But this rolling screen here is showing quite a few different menu items. A favorite of Indonesia, it says, is the chicken. So is it probably better than KFC chicken? Their current promotional burgers are actually Japanese inspired. the Yaki Uki burger, which is quite interesting. You can also get mac spaghetti as well, which is something quite different. What I've actually done is I've done the table service, which is the exact same thing I did in Moscow, and I just have to wait for them to bring the tray to where I'm going to go sit up on the second level. I want to show you something perhaps slightly different, and something we don't have in Russia is the self-service ketchup. So they've got the little trays right here, and then quite literally put it underneath, and you can get yourself a serving of ketchup or tomato sauce, and then I think everything else is very normal and very typical. There's even an outdoor area, so you can sit outside. I think with the humidity here, it's quite nice to sit inside in the air conditioning. Creamy sundaes. Man, I miss those. There's also a party area in the back as well, which is nice. I guess the kids can come and do that. And I'm waiting for number 17 to turn up. All right, so my meal has actually come. They've actually delivered it up the steps, so it did take a few minutes longer, but it's not a problem. I had time to actually check out what the price was. So the actual meal I've got here is exactly the same equivalent meal that I got in Russia 4 days ago. And this is what I consider the classic Big Mac meal. So the hamburger, medium fries, and a medium Coke or Coca-Cola. Now it actually came to 69,500 rupiah. And if I convert that to US currency, it's $4.23 if I'm converting rupiah into US currency, which is what I did back in Moscow. And I think this is around about 50 cents cheaper. Now, you're watching this in real time, so you're only watching the video for, I would imagine, 20 or 30 minutes. But for me, it was 4 days ago. It was 10,000 kilometers ago. And I just don't remember. Also, I don't have the file for the video. I've actually got it saved on my hard drive so that I make sure that I don't lose the files and I can't finish the video. So basically, there is a slight difference here. Well, I think there is. And what's probably the most noticeable difference is there's no lid on the Coca-Cola. Plenty of ice though. And the staff said to me that they don't use straws. Now, I believe in Bali there is a ban on plastic straws, plastic bags, and things like that. So you're basically getting the Coca-Cola in your medium cup, basically exactly like that, and then no straw. So cheers. Of course, this is real, genuine Coca-Cola. It's not Dobra Cola like we had, which, just talking about the Dobra Cola that I had in Moscow, that cola was made at the factory that was producing Coca-Cola. I think I'm repeating myself now a little, but this is the real stuff. Now, again, this is what they call post-mix Coca-Cola. So they're using the syrup and then the carbonated water and then the machine where they put it under there and it shoots into the cup. So it's generally the same as Coca-Cola that you would drink in a bottle or a can. But I think, you know, this is not that different from Dobra Cola. Now, Dobra Cola is not Coca-Cola. I mean, I've talked about that a lot, but it's not that different. And so the irregular or the medium fries. Now, I am here late at night. It's about 11 p.m. right now, but this is a very fast turnover McDonald's in a very busy location. Now, the actual fries themselves are a little bit skinnier and probably more true to what the McDonald's French fries look like. The ones back in Moscow are a little bit more yellow color. These are a little bit more oily, I will admit that. To the point there's actually oil on the tray, and there's oil on the table mat for my tray here. So these are definitely more oilier. However, they taste good. Is it the 11 o'clock munchies that I have? I don't think I'm biased with tasting one or the other. One more taste. So yeah, let's get on to the Big Mac. Now, I want to do this really in real time, so you can see exactly what I've got. A little bit of extra lettuce on the top. And as it says on the box there, it is made for you, or it's made for me. That's really nice. Not sure what the made for me part is. So what I'll do is I'll tip my fries in the tray there. So yeah, definitely oilier. It's more evident than the ones in Moscow were. Now I will show you something in just a minute that might be interesting, just to compare with the actual box. One more fry though first. These are good. Now this may seem really strange and a little bit weird. However, after traveling 10,000 kilometers, I actually brought the Vkusna Tochka fry box, and I've got the McDonald's one right here, so you can actually see the difference and compare them. And yeah, I think it's just something a little bit interesting, and that's just me. I wanted to actually bring the box itself, but they don't fold down, and it's hard to travel with things that are a little bit delicate. I'm not sure at the security checkpoint if they'd be a bit weary if they saw a McDonald's box going through the conveyor belt. But that's the real Big Mac, and exactly as it's described on the box. I might leave them right here in front so we can actually see them. Well, probably not on the camera, but now again, am I eating it wrong by having it upside down? Let me know. Am I committing some sort of a Big Mac crime? I'm not sure. Now, is it better? This is the same. Maybe in a funny kind of way, the meat is not as tasty. Now, that might seem trivial, but that Big Mac sauce is exactly the same though. It really is. It's good. I mean, for the price, and just to compare that, it's about 50 cents cheaper in Indonesia than it is in Russia. I did explain it before about the Big Mac index and how you can buy the classic Big Mac meal anywhere in the world and then create a scale based on the price. And you'll quickly see the countries where, of course, it's more expensive and where it's cheaper. And there's that middle ground where there's only 1 cent plus or minus on the price. So if you've never heard of it, Google the Big Mac index. It might be interesting to see where your country ranks for that list. Oh. Now, when I set out to make this video, the whole point of it was for me to travel 10,000 kilometers to have a Big Mac. And that's exactly what the video is about, and this is exactly what I'm doing. And to compare Russian McDonald's with the real McDonald's right there, this has to be the thumbnail, I think. So I think in conclusion, if I compare the Russian McDonald's or Vkusna Tochka with the McDonald's here in Bali or in Indonesia, there is very little differences. I mean, perhaps the fries were slightly different. I mean, the more traditional French fry that was from McDonald's versus the more chip-like fry that was in the Russian one. I mean, the Big Mac, I think it's about the same. I'm thinking about it now, about the meat, if I think it's different. I mean, The actual look of the burger is no different. Really, it's not. No. And I think for me, the one thing that's really interesting is that there's no lid, because that would be plastic as well, of course. And then there's no straw. I don't think it really bothers anybody. If I look around, everybody's drinking their Coca-Cola the same way. But if they've got to adhere to the government rules, then you've got to do that, right? Meaning in Russia, there is no ban on plastic. I've shown it in quite a lot of supermarket videos that you can get plastic straws, plastic cutlery. And then in Australia, for instance, and different countries now, they've got the paper straws. Well, they've even got the edible straws. Have you ever had those before? Cheers. So, then I'm not going to give it a rating because I think it would be too close to do that. But I thought it was interesting. Now, if you are a follower and you're wondering what's happening, I will be heading back to Russia very soon. I'm just here for a short holiday and I'm creating content while I'm here. But I thought this was an interesting video to make and for you to see McDonald's in 2 different countries and put it into the one video. As I come to the end of the video and the end of my 10,000 kilometer search for a Big Mac, Zhenya is right behind me. We're gonna head on back to the hotel and get some sleep. I hope you found this video interesting and I hope it's not too long. I did realize my tasting part in the 2 restaurants was a little bit longer than what I thought, but I think all the bits in between are a bit shorter. Yeah, I will be back in Moscow very soon, depending on when you're watching this. Maybe I'll already be back a few months, maybe you're watching it the same day and I'm still here. So don't fear, I'll be back in Moscow making content. We're just taking a bit of a break and resetting a little bit and try to come up with some new ideas for videos. So thanks everybody. Give it a thumbs up if you like the video. Post a comment. Perhaps you know the price of a Big Mac meal where you live. Let me know perhaps what you pay for it. Maybe you don't even like McDonald's at all. That's completely fine. Thought it was just a cool video to make, to compare the 2 products 10,000 kilometers apart, which is what I am now from where I started the video, and then 2 airplanes in between. So yeah, if you like to follow me on Telegram, the link is right here. And if you want to watch an old video on the channel, click this link and you can keep traveling with Russell. Okay everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.